The Congress has begun making preparations to move its MLAs and other supporters to Udaipur, to the same resort where the Chintan Baitak was held in May. Sources have told NDTV that some MLAs from Jaipur have already gone ahead to Udaipur. Congress President Sonia Gandhi and her son Rahul Gandhi have been summoned by the ED in a money laundering case related to the National Herald newspaper. Rahul Gandhi has been summoned tomorrow and Sonia Gandhi on the 8th of June. The Jammu and Kashmir administration has confined Kashmiri Pandits to their transit camps after the community's members threatened mass migration in the wake of targeted killings. Meanwhile, Amit Shah calls the Lieutenant Governor and seeks explanation. Mumbai warns of huge COVID spike. The cases are rising. The positivity rate now over 8%. Over 700 new cases just on Wednesday, highest in 3 months. A special court in Mumbai has permitted actor Riya Chakraborty to travel to Abu Dhabi for 4 days to attend the IFA Awards show. But she will have to appear before the Indian Embassy in Abu Dhabi daily to mark her attendance and submit her itinerary to the NCB. The sudden death of renowned Bollywood singer KK after a concert in Kolkata has raised several questions about the arrangements at the venue. The singer, just 53 years, questions now raised, could he have been saved? He was given a state honour. The Bengal Chief Minister has ordered an inquiry. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Shanakshi Chakravarti. The top story at this hour: the Congress has begun making preparations to move its MLAs and other supporters to Udaipur, to the same resort where the Chintan Baitak was held in May. Sources have told NDTV that some MLAs from Jaipur have already gone ahead to Udaipur to make those preparations. Now, the actual movement of these MLAs will begin on Thursday. My colleague Harsha with all the details.
This was really something that was really the writing on the wall. I would say we were all expecting this, because if you look at the political maths, it's just not adding up for the Congress. They have 108 MLAs of their own, of which, of course, 6 are from the BSP who have merged with the Congress. So the 108 MLAs of their own, and for the third candidate, they need additional votes. They will need 15 more to make sure that the third candidate, Pramod Tiwari, gets elected. Now, remember, he's now going to have to face off with Subhash Chandra, who has made a surprise wild card entry. So it's created a contest, and the BJP, after voting in their candidate Ghanshyam Tiwari, will need another 11 votes to get Chandra elected. Remember, they're batting for Subhash Chandra. Now, the focus now, more than their own MLAs, is those 13 independents and 8 others in the Rajasthan Assembly. So, a lot of bargaining, a lot of behind-the-scenes maneuvering happening. The Congress MLAs will, we have been told by sources, start moving tomorrow afternoon. It's not that they're going to be moving early, but a party has gone ahead to get things organized. And this sequestering will happen in the same resort that hosted the Chintan Baitak, which is just outside Udaipur, about 2-3 kilometers outside the city, the main city of Udaipur.
Shifting focus to news in the valley, targeted killings of Kashmiri Pandits and other civilians in the Kashmir Valley have prompted Home Minister Amit Shah to seek an explanation over security lapses from the Union Territory's Lieutenant Governor. A Home Ministry officer with direct knowledge of the matter told NDTV. Mr. Shah has called Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha to Delhi for a briefing on the ground situation. The officer, who asked not to be named, told NDTV the National Security Advisor, meanwhile, Ajit Doval, will also be attending the meeting. I quote, "A meeting is scheduled on the 3rd of June where steps being taken by the Union Territory administration to protect minorities would be discussed," the officer said. Now this as Kashmiri Pandits protests have intensified in the valley over the last 3 weeks in the wake of targeted killings. Now Pandit camps have been locked to prevent a mass migration. They have stopped going to work, demand a safe passage to Jammu. Here is a full story.
Locks and checkpoints at Kashmiri Pandit camps after they threatened mass migration. Kashmiri Pandits say they've been confined to their transit camps after their threat in the wake of targeted killings.
जैसा कि आप देख रहे हैं कि हमें फोर्सफुली यहाँ पे अंदर बंद किया गया है, तो या तो गवर्नमेंट चाहती नहीं है कि हम यहाँ से वैकेट हो, हमें मरवाने के लिए यहाँ पे छोड़ दिया गया है। तो हम एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन से ये दरख्वास्त करेंगे कि या तो हमें रिलोकेट किया जाए सेफर प्लेसेस पे जम्मू में या आउटसाइड जम्मू।
About 4,000 Kashmiri Pandits employed under a Prime Minister's special package yesterday threatened to leave the valley if the administration did not relocate them to safe places within 24 hours. This came after a Hindu school teacher from Jammu, Rajni Bala, was killed by terrorists outside his school in Kulgam district yesterday. This was the protest side of Kashmiri Pandits for the last 3 weeks. Today, tents and banners have disappeared and no one was allowed to reach here. But today, they woke up finding many transit camps locked. At Vesu in Anantnag, one of the biggest migrant camps, hundreds of employees held protests inside the camp. Only solution is relocation.
ये एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का बहुत ही बड़ा फेलियर है कि उन्होंने हमें कल शाम से ही यहाँ पर बंद कर दिया गया। जैसे शिवपुरा में, यहाँ पर बटवारा में, यहाँ इंदिरा नगर में, यहाँ सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस लगाए गए। हमारे कार्ड चेक कर रहे हैं, आइडेंटिटी कार्ड चेक किए जा रहे हैं कि ये कश्मीरी पंडित माइग्रेशन तो नहीं कर रहा है, ये निकल तो नहीं रहा है।
In Delhi, there's already politics over the situation.
उनके साथ वही हो रहा है जो 90 के दशक में हुआ था। उन्हें चुन चुन के, उनके घर में घुस के, उनके दफ्तर में घुस के, सड़कों पे निशाना बनाया जा रहा है, उन्हें मारा जा रहा है। ये अमानवीय है, इंसानियत के खिलाफ है, देश के खिलाफ है।
The challenge for the government are only increasing by the day. After Kashmiri Pandits, hundreds of employees from Jammu who are working in the valley are also demanding their relocation following the killing of Rajni Balla. The fear of being the next target is forcing these employees to abandon their offices. In Srinagar, Nazir Masoodi for NDTV.
Shifting focus to the Congress party, where Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi have been summoned by the ED in the National Herald case. Rahul Gandhi will be summoned on has been expected to be summoned on Thursday, likely to seek an extension since he is out of the country. Sonia Gandhi, meanwhile, will appear on the 8th of June. BJP has meanwhile attacked the Gandhis. JP Nadda takes a criminal's jibe. My colleague Sanket with all the details.
All right, so there is a political battle which has started in the National Herald case between the Congress and the BJP. You see, what has happened is that Sonia Gandhi as well as Rahul Gandhi have been summoned on the 8th. Sonia Gandhi is going to appear, but Rahul Gandhi, the Congress party says, will seek more time if he is not available. So that is what the Congress has said. The Congress also says that the ED has been brought in 7 years later, so they allege that this is all everything political. The Congress also says that they will not be afraid and they will fight this case.
हमने कहा हम न डरेंगे, न झुकेंगे और सीना ठोक कर ऐसे कारनामों का सामना करेंगे.
The BJP has come up with a strong attack on the Gandhis. BJP chief JP Nadda has led from the front, where he says that criminals will never say that they are criminals. And why did Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi seek bail if they are not guilty? INB Minister Anurag Thakur also held a press conference today where he said that the ED summons, he says investigating agencies are just doing their job.
आपने देखा कि कोई मुजरिम बोले कि वो बेईमान है? कभी कोई मुजरिम बोलता है कि मैं बेईमान हूँ? सजा हो जाती है, 20-20 साल जेल में रह के आते हैं, वो हमेशा ही बोलते हैं कि गलती में हमको फंसा दिया। जो आदमी कटघरे में खड़ा है, जो बेल पर है, तो बेल उठवा लो ना, चार्जेस हटवा लो ना, क्यों नहीं करते? तो इसलिए नहीं करते हो क्योंकि कागज सच्चे हैं और कागज परमानेंट होते हैं, तो वो उनको उस जगह पर खड़ा रख रहे हैं।
And with that, we will slip into a short break, but more news continues on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, hours after dropping a bombshell tweet in which he said that he was planning to start something to help some people, Sourav Ganguly announced this evening that he has launched a worldwide education app, ending all speculations. He said, and I quote, "I have launched a worldwide educational app to reporters. Listen in."
আমি একটা নতুন অ্যাপ লঞ্চ করেছি, এডুকেশন অ্যাপ ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়াইড লঞ্চ করেছি। সেটা
মানে তো তোমার একটা স্কুল সংক্রান্ত
স্কুলের সঙ্গে কোনো সম্পর্ক নেই। ইটস অ্যান এডুকেশনাল অ্যাপ ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়াইড উইথ ক্লাস প্লাস।
All right, and now a double whammy for vehicle sales. Demands have been dampened, supplies hurt. Private vehicle purchases down by 19.2% in just the last quarter. Priyanshi with this report.
Sonia, people have to wait for a year and even 2 years in some cases to get their new cars. Vehicle purchases went down by 19.2% in the last quarter, that is from January to March this year. This is a sharp drop compared to the corresponding quarter last year when the purchases actually went up by 27.1%, and this is data as per the Ministry of Statistics. Now, what's behind the long waiting periods and why are lesser people now buying cars? It's a double whammy. Both supply and demand have been hit. Car manufacturing is negatively impacted due to a global shortage of a key car component, that is semiconductor, which is needed in cars for navigation and traction control among many other purposes. When the economy reopened after the pandemic, there was a sudden spike in demand for vehicles that supply couldn't match. Lockdowns in China and supply disruptions due to the war further added to the supply stress. Secondly, during the pandemic, there was an increase in the demand of electronic devices that also use chips. These reasons pushed up the demand, but supply could not keep up as it can take years to ramp up semiconductor production. So the less supply is now leading to long waiting periods for cars, taking down the sales of vehicles. For example, you have to wait almost 21 months for the top model of a Mahindra XUV 700, while 10 months for that of Thar. On the demand side, while demand for premium vehicles is up, that for entry-level or base models has been hit. Rising prices of fuel have increased the maintenance cost of a car, and like most other things, the price of buying a car has also sharply increased over the last couple of years, which has made affording a car harder for people who barely recovered from the pandemic. All of these reasons aren't easing anytime soon, but experts do hope for better conditions in the next 6 months.
Right, and Shanghai has eased a range of COVID-19 restrictions in a step towards returning to normal after a 2-month lockdown that confined residents of the entire city to their homes and battered China's economy. The commercial hub of 25 million people was closed down in sections from late March when the Omicron virus variant fueled China's worst outbreak since COVID first took hold in 2020. Factories and businesses have also set to restart work after being dormant for weeks. Take a look.
Traffic, pedestrians and joggers reappeared on the streets of Shanghai as China's largest city began returning to normalcy amid easing of a strict 2-month lockdown due to COVID-19.
生意肯定是有点就是说报复性反弹嘛，这个是很正常的，因为毕竟是憋了这么久嘛，是吧？憋了到2个多月嘛。人人都期待来外面哪怕说说话呀，对吧？都是开开心心的这种，你知道吧？
现在还不是很正常。如果会正常的话，我们早上就想那个了，就是没办法那个全部，就像我们这上面的都没办法全部有，只能先做肠粉，肠粉是可以。
From local shopkeepers to global traders, all are welcoming the easing of this lockdown as over 10% of China's trade with the rest of the world comes from Shanghai. Bureau Report, NDTV.